heading up towards Carrickfergus railway station. We're going to go down to Belfast today. It's about 9 or 10 miles away, and the rain has stopped now. And you were telling a story about years ago you got told off by an auntie, and what did you say? Because you complained about the rain in Ireland.
I did, and she said, well, why do you think it's so green? Why? And I mean, I was only commenting, I wasn't really criticising, but she obviously took it very personally.
Yeah, she took it badly. She took it as a slight, as a slight
as
upon
a
Ireland.
Criticism, yeah.
Yeah, this morning when we woke up, the fog was down on Belfast Lock. You couldn't see anything at all. It was completely covered in cloud. And after all, this is only May, but that's all lifted, and there's a bit of sort of weak watery sunshine now. As the coach has arrived. We head up past the castle again, and we're going to go up and find the railway station. And the plan is to go up to the Titanic Quarter. We're not going to try and visit all of Belfast all in one day. We're back here next week, so all being well, we'll have another bit of time in Belfast next week. But we're just going to make our way to the Titanic Quarter. Going to get a train to Yorkgate station and then walk from there. It's a rather fine airstream. The teas and coffees. And we head up this way, I think, past the William III statue. King Billy. Carrickfergus. He's gets his name from Fergus, the first king of Scotland. He sailed home to Ulster in the 25th year of his reign, around AD 501, in search of a healing cure for his leprosy. A storm arose, his boat was shipwrecked on the basalt rock, or Carrig, near this spot, and Fergus was drowned. The rock was forever known as Carrickfergus, and over 600 years later the Anglo-Normans built Carrickfergus Castle on the same rock. So this is part of this mixed history between Ireland, the Normans, the Angles, the Scots, all sorts of things going on. There's the central bar, J.D. Wetherspoon.
Hey,
but
that's where we had our dinner last night.
We had our dinner last night. Yeah, we did. And it was very, very good. And we had a pint of Guinness.
Hey.
Well, we had 2 pints.
What did it cost us for the Guinness? £2?
I think included with the meal, it was £2.15
Hey.
for the Guinness. We think we head this way, don't we? Yeah. Just getting a shot of this fine looking building up ahead, and there's lots of election posters out because it was the local elections yesterday, Thursday, so there's an awful lot of political posters out and about. But this is a very fine building, the Union flag and the flag of Northern Ireland, and then there's this, I think this place is, this part of the world is famous for its murals. This one's quite an amusing one with people arguing and contents of a chamber pot being thrown out and a dog taking a leak. we're in good time for getting to the station, and it's a very fine looking station. In terms of railway architecture, that's very different from anything I've seen anywhere, I think.
Absolutely.
So that's red brick and panelling. Wow, it's very grand. And then away, I don't know which way we're looking. I suppose we're sort of looking westish, aren't we? Are these hills? And there's a monument up on the hill there. I'm not quite sure what that is, but there we go. Carrickfergus railway station. Just been given some very helpful advice at the railway station, and very helpful, very chatty, and sort of where you'd normally find a waiting room, there's this little sort of display area, or I suppose museum area almost. But I was just chuckling over the old photos here. There's this is about the outbreak of the Second World War, and it's got just to comment. One of the more bizarre contributions to the war effort was NCC Cement Wagon Number 3, the Northern Counties equivalent to Corporal Jones's butcher's lorry in the Dad's Army television comedy series. Is one of 3 armoured rail trolleys used at the time. And it said these photographs were taken on manoeuvres in Antrim, or at Antrim, in 1941. How the mighty German Wehrmacht would have trembled had it been confronted by this terrible weapon. So yeah, there's the cement van, and lo and behold, it's actually an armoured train. So there we go. That's good. It's funny. Made our way from Yorkgate station through the or past the docks, or part of the docks at Belfast, to the River Lagan, or Lagan, depends how you want to pronounce it. So we're looking back towards the main part of the city centre, and the sun has come out, which is really good. And I'll just pan round, do one of these little panning shots, and where we're heading for is the other side, the water, the old Harland and Wolff shipbuilding shipyards, and that's really where Belfast developed over the years for the shipbuilding. And the unmistakable building in front is the Titanic, and we're going to go and explore some of that Titanic Quarter. I think it opened in 2012, so still relatively new. And then looking up this way, I suppose heading roughly north, we can see the cranes and the start of the commercial docks further on. So at least it's a pleasant day at the moment, but a good view looking back over the different bridges. And we're going to make our way down. I think we're going to find there's a sculpture called the Big Fish, and then we're going to cross over at the, is it called the Lagan Weir?
Lagan Weir. I think
The Lagan Weir footbridge.
Just
Yeah.
see it underneath that road.
Yeah, we might be able to see it. Yeah, so we'll make our way along the riverside. Oh, he's lovely. So in this area we've got this real mixture of the old and the new. We're just approaching, this is the Big Fish and the Lagan Weir. I like the Big Fish. Yeah, I like the Big Fish. I'll have to stroll up there and you'll get a sense of scale then if you do that.
You mean by the fish?
Yeah. There you go. By the big fish. It's only from here you get to appreciate how huge the Harland and Wolff cranes are. I mean, they tower above those neighbouring buildings, don't they?
Mm.
And what I hadn't realised that they were only constructed in 1969. I thought they were much older than that. Samson and Goliath. 1969. You think you're going to go and top up your tea? Yeah. That's interesting, isn't it? It's certainly a very good cup of coffee and a very good scone.
Birthday, Harland and Wolff. That's where you worked in Belfast. My dad got me my start, then my brothers after me. You could hear the noise from where we lived, but nothing prepared you for the size of the place. They put me to work in 401. That's what we called her. We knew she'd be the largest passenger ship in the world, but we didn't call her Titanic then. I was there from the beginning. I watched the shipwrights lay the keel blocks. They set big wooden blocks on the slipway to start with, then the keel atop of it, like a backbone, and the frames attached to that, like a skeleton. Workshops everywhere. It took weeks to find your way around. There'd be workshops for every trade you ever heard of. Painters, sailmakers, coppersmiths, boiler makers, cabinet makers. I even learned a bit about French polishing of them. Harland Weir was a fine place to work, but dangerous. Every ship cost a life, and there'd be lots of injuries besides. I was in the engine works for a while. Very well equipped it was. That's where we built the triple expansion engines. 2 of them, each as high as a 3-storey house. I worked in the frame bending shop. You had heat steel beams in the furnace, then hook them onto slabs of cast iron and hammer them curved. It was skilled work. You had to bend them more than you needed, because the frame straightened out a little when it cooled. The shell plates that made up the hull weighed up to 4.5 tons. They were taller than my dad. The plates were overlapped on the edges. Some were raised, one after another. We called it clincher. One of the foremen told me years ago, that's how you built steel ships. One of the foremen would check each rivet with a special hammer. If it made a ringing sound, we'd have to get back and chase it out after work. I'd get scared walking down in that double bottom. You only had candles for light. And the constant hammering against the shell plates. You could hear it all over Belfast. Some of those boys ended up stone deaf, so they did. When we came to launch day, I was torn between pride and fear. The standing ways were coated in tallow, train oil and soft soap. So the ship would slide when they shifted her weight off the blocks. That was the most dangerous part. When the shipwrights were knocking away the last props. They were under compression, you see, and the sliding ways would be released by the hydraulic trigger. 100,000 people watched the launch. Some paid a bob to sit in the reserved seating. There were extra trams laid on. Then we all went off to the pub to wish her well.
Look, you were proud to be an island on that day. And Titanic was the pride of Belfast.
Yes, two ships beside each other. So this is the Titanic and
the Nomadic, tender to the Titanic, built in Belfast at the same time. So we're just looking at the crew quarters on the Nomadic, which was the tender vessel that worked out of Cherbourg that served the Titanic, and the Nomadic was built in Belfast at the same time by the same people. But when you came over from Canada then, Pamela, on the White Star Line, was this like your accommodation? Is this what you were used to?
Well, it was 3 bunks high, and there were 2 size 6 people in each room.
Okay.
And it was segregated, so I was in there with my mum.
And some other women.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and children.
So you were, they were triple bunks
Yeah,
and 6 beds, or 2
Yeah.
triple bunks
Yeah.
in each cabin,
yeah, with a little tiny gap down the middle.
and a little gap down the middle.
Yeah,
Okay, so this is better than what you
I think
enjoyed.
so. Oh yes, this
That's
would
a
have
good.
been quite luxurious compared to what I enjoyed.
Yeah, it's quite a good meal laid out there. Well, plenty of bread and cheese anyway.
There were plenty of other rooms we could go to play as
Play,
children.
yeah. Yeah.
But the living accommodation that we had was dormitories.
Yes.
Various sizes.
Yes. On the bridge deck of the Nomadic, looking back towards Titanic Belfast, so that's where the Titanic was launched from originally. But what were we saying? About 172 passengers came on board this tender at
Yeah.
Cherbourg and then went on to the Titanic. So there's that direct connection with the famous liner. And this craft has had a checkered history, still around today, and was served in 2 world wars.
Yeah.
Ended up as a restaurant by the Eiffel Tower in Paris for a while, and then finally brought back to Belfast and restored, greatly restored.
Absolutely.
Yeah. There we go. There's the original plaque. Bit difficult maybe to make out. Harland and Wolff, Shipbuilders and Engineers, Queen's Island, Belfast. And we dress for a rainy, chilly day, and we've been lucky to find it's been a glorious sunny day today.
Absolutely.
Really good. I think we were just talking about the fact that it is hard to imagine this was just a tender, because we've been on 1 or 2 cruise ships, and occasionally they've used tenders to get you to port. And the tenders, although they could carry perhaps 100 people, were very, very small. I mean, they were lowered from the ship. This is a full vessel in its own right, and sometimes it's described as a miniature Titanic. And this was the vessel that operated out of Cherbourg to the White Star ships. But it's a vast vast ship. And again, I found it interesting that even on board, first and second and third class passengers were all kept quite separate, and those rules and requirements were still in place even on board the tender. And you'd only be making a fairly short journey out from the quayside out to the main vessel. But there we have it. Yeah. And there's a sense here with the tender in the foreground and the Titanic Museum or experience behind. You almost get a sense of how the tender related to the size of the Titanic itself. Yeah, a bit of a sense of that.